Covering the Universal Orlando Resort for over 5 years, you are listening to the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 202 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Joining me today, we've got Lee and Tracy. How you doing?
Hi, we're great.
That was weird. Then get introduced both
What
together.
happened?
Hello.
Yeah.
I did it on episode 200.
That was different.
Was it?
Anyway.
All right. Lee
alright.
needs his own announcement.
Yeah, it's the ego.
Now presenting Lee Malaby
Hello, everyone.
Weirdo.
and Tracy.
Hello, I didn't need another one.
Okay. And also on this side of the pond, we got Hunter. What's happening, Hunter?
Nothing much, Darren. Nice to hear from you. I haven't heard from you in a week.
Yeah, definitely. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Nice to hear from you.
All right, and many of you will remember our recent episode with former Universal Orlando team member and extended Q host Tiffany Krstulich. Well, finally, we'd like to welcome his wife, Tiffany, on the show. Hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh,
Hey.
it's going good. How are y'all doing?
Good. I'm finally
Brilliant.
glad we could get this organised and sorted because it was
Yes.
going to happen a while back and things happened and it didn't happen and
Yes.
now we're finally here.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, that was episode 4, and now we're on episode 202.
Well, better late than never.
Absolutely.
Right, definitely. So, Tiffany, you were also a team member at Universal Orlando.
I was.
Yeah, would you like to let our listeners know what you did while you were there?
Sure. I was a costume dresser from 2006 to 2009 for Universal Orlando, and I did pretty much anything that had to do with costuming over there. So I started off in Islands of Adventure, where we worked with the Marvel characters, Toon Lagoon, Seuss Landing, all of those, and then eventually moved over to Universal Studios Florida, which is also called the EPC, or the Entertainment Production Center. And that's where we dealt with Terminator 2, Disaster, Barney, Nickelodeon, all of those walk-around characters as well. And yeah, did dressing for all of the shows. So that was Sinbad and Barney, Beetlejuice, and all the like. And it was quite an interesting job.
Wow.
Let me ask you real quick. Did you purposely put Disaster and Barney in the same breath on purpose?
Well, I was not a Barney person until I actually worked there. And it was actually one of the cutest shows I've ever seen.
Awesome.
Cool.
You know, I think that's the one show I've never seen.
No, me either.
Darren, next time we go together, we should do a live report.
Yeah.
I think
You
we need
should.
to.
Yes.
It was actually very cute, and I hate Barney because my cousins would watch Barney constantly, and I would have to watch it. But there was glitter involved at some point, and you just have to love glitter.
Oh, Tracy would hate it then.
Are you surprised that that show's been around as long as it has?
Actually, no, it's actually very popular, and
Wow, okay.
they keep up with the popularity, and they actually give back to the community because they have what is called Give Kids the World.
Yes.
Mhm.
And every Friday or Saturday, they will go to the Give Kids lot and do performances for the kids.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're sort of our adopted charity. I know when Tracy and I came over in 2013, we actually went down to the village and had a tour around, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's very well done. Those kids are adorable, and I loved whenever I was able to do it.
It's fabulous.
So, Tiffany, how did you fall into that job? Because you and Stephen weren't together at that point, were you?
Yeah, actually, it was all kind of like an accident. I actually went to school for radio and television and partial theater, and I knew nothing about sewing. I was actually in high school when I started doing theater productions, and one of the things they had us do is we would have to provide our own costumes. And at one point, I, of course, was a very big geek and loved going to like conventions anime conventions, Marvel conventions, that kind of thing, and I could never find costumes of what I wanted, so I decided to make my own and asked my parents to buy me a sewing machine, which I had no idea how to work it. But one of the first dresses I ever made turned out really well, so it kind of became my niche. And when I went to college, I assisted in the theater department, and they asked, "Hey, do you know how to sew?" I said, "Sure, what do you want?" And they pretty much just gave me a room, and I was able to make the costumes for them. And after college, that's when I was told to get a real job, and I was like, okay. And Universal was hiring costume attendants, and I was like, well, I bought a sewing machine, and I can sew on it, so let me see if I can get in.
Mm-hmm.
And got my interview done, and they actually hired me on the spot with the interview.
Awesome.
As a seasonal costume attendant. And so I started, and I think maybe a month, maybe 3 months passed, and they decided to make me full-time. And shortly after that, I moved up to dresser. And then shortly after that, they made me a lead and a trainer. Yeah, so I moved up the ranks pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it was a wonderful job. It was fun. I really enjoyed my time there.
Excellent.
Definitely. Well, let's not delay it here. Lee keeps bringing up the story about Barney.
Well, yes. There are a lot of things that happen in the costuming world, and you cannot, be prudish, as we call it, because you do have to be up and personal with your performers, either with measuring them or getting them into costumes and the like. Now, Barney is a very interesting costume choice in itself because it is this huge foam and metal monster, pretty much, that's in the shape of a very phallic sort of design from the back, just the way he's designed and where his curves are and the like. So, my first time ever entering Barney, because they're like, hey, we want you to go and train at Barney. I was like, Barney, why? And they're like, just go, you'll have fun. Okay. So I go in and, I meet the attendant that's normally there, but she was going to be going on vacation, which is why I was going to be learning it. And she showed me around. And as soon as you walk through the door and go around the corner, there's pretty much like meat hooks from the ceiling that are holding up these huge purple dinosaur phallic pieces. And how the performer gets in is you as a costume tech have to get onto a ladder because it is that high up off the ground. Once you get to the top of the ladder, you have to kind of help push Barney away from the wall and towards the performer, who will grab the bottom part of Barney, which is pretty much the legs and the tail, and then they'll crawl up inside him. And then when they say that they're okay, which means they have placed the metal pieces where they need to on their shoulders, they say that they're ready, and they'll lift Barney up a little bit more so you can undo the hook that's at the top of his head from the meat hook. And it's very similar to a man's male part. So you have to kind of stuff the little loop that hangs on the hook through the hole and then close it. And then once he's done, he'll walk to the middle of the room and you climb down your ladder. And that's the point where you have to pretty much lie down on the ground. And you lie on the ground because at that point, Barney is going to straddle you.
There's something I think you were going to say.
Because the only way to close up this costume is there's 2 zippers up the side of the leg, and then there's a crotch closure that's made out of Velcro in the crotchal region. So once Barney's over your face, you zip up his legs, and then you Velcro his crotch, and then you tap on the leg to let him know that he's ready to go, and you just pray to God that he doesn't step on your face.
Wow.
I'm having visions of episode 23 all over again.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
He sounds like a good lover, though.
They were all very nice. Like the Barney crew was one of the closest, tight-knit groups of performers that you will ever meet at Universal.
Awesome.
Sounds like you
have a lot of people been there for an extended period of time then?
There are. There were some people that were still there from day one.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I believe there are still people there that are still performers as of this moment.
Wow.
Wow.
Adrian, we know Adrian still works it now, does he? Because he's desperate to come on and talk about it with us, and he always describes Barney as being very... Adrian's not as polite as you are, Tiffany. He will...
Nice way of putting it. I love
Well, I
it.
mean, when you consider the show opened in 1995,
Yeah.
that's quite a long tenure that a lot of those people have had. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. A lot of veterans there.
Yeah.
Now, I know you also worked a lot of the costumes for Halloween Horror Nights, and we'll probably get onto that later because we've got some listener questions, and I know most of them are about Halloween Horror Nights. But on a daily basis, Tiffany, what was your day? What would it look like?
Days would change depending on your location. If you were a dresser, you would go to your home area. So that would be either Barney or Sinbad. And you would clock in at that venue because at that point you were part of that team. And so at Barney, it would pretty much, you would clock in and you would check on the laundry room and see if there was any laundry that was left over from the night before and finish that up and pretty much wait around until your first set happens. So the first set would mean a performer that would come in as Barney and they would go out into the walk around kid zone area. So you would have your show Barneys and then you would have your walk around Barneys and they would rotate depending on the week. And you would just pretty much assist them throughout the day as well as all the other characters in your venue. And at the end of the night, you would help clean up all the costume pieces and start the laundry. And then the night crew would come in. They would roam around to each of the venues and finish up the laundry if they could.
Okay.
Now, if you were at one of the other main areas, so that would be the EPC, which is at Universal Studios Florida itself, or the IOA version at Islands of Adventure. That would be a little bit more routine. So you would clock in at that venue, and you would start pretty much folding what are called grays. Now, grays are gray T-shirts and gray shorts that we give to the performers, and they're allotted to wear that when they are out of costume, because you are not allowed to wear your costume when you are eating, drinking, or on your breaks.
Yeah.
Unless you have a short break and you have to go back out. It also helps to collect any sweat that you may have acquired underneath like all the fuzzy costumes, which happens a lot. And you were allowed to change them out as much as you wanted throughout the day.
Okay.
So we would fold those and put those away. Again, finish up any laundry that had not been able to be finished up the night before. And then we would start doing our presets. Presets are a collection of costumes that will be given out either that day or the next day, depending on which section you were given. And then anytime a performer would come up to the window, you would ask either their name or what they were doing that day, and then you would hand them their garment bag that would be filled with their entire costume that they would need for that day. And then they go on their merry way. and then you just finish up whatever else would be done. So like the fuzzy costumes, we would have to get brushes and actually brush those out every single day.
Wow.
If you found any problems with them, you would have to flag them and then fix them yourself. So for example, maybe we had a Scooby-Doo costume come through and one of the spots was falling off. So you'd have to flag it so you knew where the hole was, go and get your needle and thread and then fix it and then put it back into the stock.
Right.
So that was pretty much your day. And then at the end, again, just finish up laundry. It's a lot of doing laundry. So if you don't like laundry, don't get into costuming because you're going to hate it.
Tell me, how do you launder a big purple dinosaur?
Well, Barney actually does not get laundered per se. He gets a wipe down. And those costumes are changed out every year. So every year they will buy a new Barney costume for the performer.
Because I had thoughts there of that show's been going since 1995, and those costumes only get a wipe down.
Yes, that is one of the more grosser costumes because it cannot be washed. So you have to take alcohol spray, and you yourself go up inside Barney, and you have to wipe him down to kind of clean off whatever bacteria has accumulated that day.
Wow.
I find it hilarious that a children's show is the most filthy thing we've ever
Yes.
talked about on this show.
Well, yeah, Barney's a little filthy.
I'm glad it's not just us that think that.
Yes. Tiffany, just to pull the curtain back on the parks, where is the EPC exactly?
So the EPC, if you walk into Universal Studios and you have that choice of either going straight towards, I believe that's Rip Ride Rocket,
Yeah.
or turning right down that first street towards Terminator and where the Blues Brothers and Horror Makeup is. It's actually right behind the Horror Makeup and Blues Brother building.
Yes, that's where the
And-
parade and everything comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you stand around that area, you will pretty much see where all the characters will be is essentially be coming out.
Right.
You will probably also sometimes see a costume technician come out to take costumes to other parts of the facilities. We do have a van that makes things quicker to get around, but sometimes the van is either not working or it's already being used.
Mhm.
So we'll have to truck all those costumes across Universal
Wow.
per se.
Yeah.
So which we would
Yikes.
call the Universal workout, and you work a lot and walk a lot.
So where's the one in Islands of Adventure then? Because that, like, obviously it makes sense when you said the one in the studios is where those gates are. I can't think of where anyone would come out in Islands.
Islands of Adventure, it's actually kind of in a strange area. They thought that was like the more central location, but you need a van to get around to all of the areas. So it is, if you go through Marvel and head towards Toon Lagoon, it's kind of in between the two. Probably one of the easier ways to think of it is if you go to Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls, Ripsaw Falls, it's behind there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And it's a very tiny building, which houses a lot of costumes.
Mhm.
Not as
So
much
is
as
it-
EPC, but
in near the what used to be the Matt Hoffman Theater, or a little bit further down from that.
it's kind of catty-cornered to that.
Gotcha.
Pulling back the curtain. See, no one, you think, like, obviously when you're in the parks, you don't know where all these backstage
Where the
areas
secret
are.
places are.
And you can see
Yep.
a lot of backstage. If you go on Doctor Doom, you can see a lot of what's going on, but you don't look around and go, oh, now you'll be able to go on. Anyone who rides Doctor Doom now will be like, oh, there's the EPC over there.
Yep, you'll be like, oh, that's it. Yeah, I accidentally caused a little bit of a panic one time at Islands of Adventure because we have a grill back there and we're allowed to grill. And I kind of made a little more smoke and forgot to close the door, so I kind of made the alarm go off. And we had to get security out to make sure that everything was clear and there was no fire before we were allowed to enter the building again. So I
Oh.
kind of got in a little trouble for that.
You and Stephen have a bit of a reputation at those parks, don't you?
Well, kind of.
Tiffany's burning things, Stephen's crashing things.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You know, you're shooting them up. Steven's knocking them down. Oh boy. Has there ever been like a situation where an actor has like really damaged a costume, like out in public, like ripped something open or something like that you've heard of?
They're usually really good about hiding problems that they have with their costumes in public, and then they will come to us. They will either excuse themselves from the set as soon as possible. There's usually always a team handler out there that they can notify, and they can either cut set short to fix the problem, or they can just kind of run off and get it fixed and then head back out again. And I'll never forget, I was actually on it was my first week at Islands of Adventure, my first week working there, and I was manning the counter, and you're pretty much there to make sure if anybody has a problem to help fix it. And a Spider-Man came running down the hallway and leaped up on the counter and then spread his legs wide open right in front of me. And I'm looking at I'm like, what's your problem? He's like, I have a hole in my crotch and I need to get back on set. So, and of course, you have to get it done. So I grabbed a needle and thread and I said, all right, tuck the boys in. Sewed away really quick and then sent him back out on his way.
Oh boy, that's hilarious.
Wow.
That's it. I know from listening back to your episode when you talked about it there, if, as a costumer, you being shy is not something that would help in your job, is it, Tiffany?
No. You do see a lot of naked people, and you can't be shy around them, pretty much because they will always be wearing very little to no clothing, just because you need to make sure the costume fits as snug as possible for them, especially for the Marvel characters, which, it's okay to see them naked. They're actually very nice looking men and women. So you kind of don't worry about that part.
Excellent.
There's always perks with every job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about career.
And they're always very nice. I've never really had any problems with any performers. They're usually a very good group that you become a really close family. You will get the one or two grumpy ones. I did have one problem with one performer. Again, it was on my first day on the job, and he was a Popeye. And it was literally like my first hour in, and I stood up at the counter, and he walks through the door, and he threw his Popeye hat at me. And he's like, "This isn't my hat."
Oh.
I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know who you are."
Yeah.
But if you let me know, I can fix it for you. And we finally were able to get it all figured out. But, some of them just have their bad day, and you just have to let them vent it out. And then the next day they'll be bright and cheery and pretend like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The Popeyes in the parks are always kind of angry. They're kind of scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There are some. There are a few that are super sweet and very nice, but there are some of the more older veteran ones that have just been doing it for so long that they kind of lost their magic, per se.
What you want, kid? You want an autograph?
And Popeye's not supposed to be angry. He's just, he just looks grumpy, but he's like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Gruff, yeah.
Now, I'm just curious because I'm curious about this sort of thing. I could have had a better transition than that, but I didn't. Did you ever have any performers that had come over from a certain competing theme park?
Ooh.
Who ever told you about differences between working for the two?
Actually, a lot of the performers will work both theme parks. We would have performers would be under what are called contracts. So some might have a 32-hour contract donated just for Universal, and then they would have a 24-hour contract at Disney.
Interesting.
So there would be a lot of performers that would work both parks, and it's allowed. You're a performer, you're an actor, so you're under contracts instead of signed agreements.
Yeah.
And just because the pool for actors is, I don't want to say small, but it's very particular.
Yeah.
Especially for costume characters, because you have to fit the costume a certain way. So, for example, Alex for Madagascar, the lion, you have to be a extremely slender, like 6 foot tall man, just because the way of the costume is designed. And there are weight limits and size limits and all of these things that you have to be approved for. And you can't, just throw some willy-nilly guy off the street into these costumes. And a lot of the costumes are made similarly throughout all theme parks. So that guy is allowed to go to each theme park if they fit the costume to do that performance.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know we've got a friend who works at both.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Yes. It's very common.
Yeah. Has there been a favourite costume that you've worked with?
I have a lot of favorite costumes. There are so many wonderful costumes that you see there. Most of the prettier ones, as I will say, ones that don't see the light of day that often are usually my favorites. My favorite one was for Islands of Adventure was the Genie Stiltwalker costume. And it was these huge, either orange or blue or purple, depending on the performer, pantaloons that would cover up the stilts.
Yeah.
And this cute bra vest combination and this cute little hat. And they were so adorable, but they're one of what are called seasonal characters.
Yeah.
So they're only allowed out in the park if it's super busy and they need more people to go out and kind of entertain the crowd because, the lines are so long, so they need something to look at. So they usually only go out maybe during the summertime, during peak seasons. And peak seasons are when the properties are the most busy.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got to ask another one then. Sorry, I've got to go off the back of that one. Was there a costume that was an absolute bitch to work with?
I was just going to say, was there a costume that you'd happily never work with again?
There are a couple of those. Like, if it was up to me, I would not do fuzzy costumes because they're a pain in the butt to clean every single day and brush. You get such an arm workout brushing all of those furs every single day. You're like, I don't want to see another fur ever.
No.
Another costume that actually got changed because of it was the Shrek costume.
Okay.
And that's sort of built similarly to Barney's. So it's a big foam outer shell with a steel cage on the inside to keep the shape. The old version actually hurt quite a few performers, and they ended up getting back problems because of it. And one performer actually couldn't perform anymore because of it. So they had to address that issue, and one of our costume technicians actually went in and looked at the costume and was able to recreate a lighter version of it, which they are using now, which doesn't cause it's still a pretty heavy costume, and can wear on you after a long period of time, but it's definitely a lot better. They used, I think it was lighter aluminum or something to keep the cage, but keep it light so that they don't hurt their backs anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that Shrek is the one that I think he looks the most uncomfortable out of everybody at the park. And it's even worse because he's got a donkey over there cracking jokes, No problem at all. And he's like struggling to move. He's like, yes.
Yeah, it's a very strange costume because you have that outer shell. He has these big shoes that are actually pretty heavy. He wears these big green foamy gloves and like the headpiece that just looks atrocious to me.
It does look pretty bad. Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, are there any costumes that have been retired, I suppose, is the best way to put it? Maybe the characters are no longer in the parks that you really miss?
That we get that a lot. One performer in particular, we used to have a walk around Lucy and Ricky Ricardo.
Yes.
Oh, I love
in
those.
the park, and they were one of the nicest groups of people to work with. And the Lucys and Rickies had to be approved by Lucy Ricardo's daughter. Before they were allowed into the park to portray her mother. And there was only one Ricky throughout the entire time at Universal Studios that was ever approved. And he was there from the approval day until I believe he finally retired 2 to 3 years ago.
Wow.
And it was a big day because he was the first and last Ricky to ever cross those doors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the title to hold.
It is.
And he did a wonderful job.
He did, I know. We met him the first time we ever went, I
always made a beeline for Lucy. She's just so elegant and lovely.
That's why I never got to meet. Oh, that's a bummer.
That would have been one of Ron Schneider's hirers.
Yeah, he probably will have been. Yeah.
I believe his name was Adrian.
I think that's what it is in his book. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And usually you can always tell. Costuming will usually be the second in line to know if a certain show or streetmosphere, which are atmosphere characters that walk around inside the streets and perform with people. Costuming will be one of the first ones to know when something is going to be going down. That is when we first learned that Fear Factor was going to be going down. I remember I was working Fear Factor, and we were short on, I believe it was ladies' gloves for the contestants. And so if you realize that you're low on anything, you're supposed to call over to your main base and ask for a new inventory supply. And when I did, my bosses just make them last because we're not going to get another shipment in ever.
Oh, right.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And that was one of the years that Fear Factor went down for a certain amount of time. And so now it has gone to only seasonally. So
Yeah.
costuming will usually be the first to figure out if something's going to be going.
Yeah. I
Mm.
never considered that.
We got to get some insiders on that for sure.
Yeah.
Let us know what's happening in the parks. All right, well, right now let's take a break real quick, and then we'll come back with some listener questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th wonder of the world is returning to Universal Orlando Resort. So let our friends at Fairy Godmother Travel take care of the resort reservation. They are a Universal Parks and Resorts specialist, as well as being an authorised Disney vacation planner, and their service is free to you. From the awesome Cabana Bay Hotel to those other hotels run by a mouse, Fairy Godmother Travel can book all your Orlando vacation needs, so you don't need to miss the chance to see the amazing King Kong in the flesh. And please make sure to let them know that you heard about Fairy Godmother Travel because of UUOP. Because every UUOP referral helps us to continue to bring you the greatest Universal coverage. Contact them today by phone at 832-284-4002 or toll free at 888-939-642539 or go to fairygodmothertravel.com.
Let Fairy Godmother Travel make your next vacation magical.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
All right, and we're back, and yeah, we've got some questions that were sent in from the Producers Club. So, Hunter, you want to take the first one?
Yeah, this one's actually from Sean Hill. It says, do you have a favorite Halloween Horror Nights costume? You actually already answered this one, or costume in general that you got to work with.
Yeah, Tracy, you
Sorry,
stole
Sean.
it.
Well, there's difference. So I had mostly talked about costumes in the Universal Orlando or Islands of Adventure, but Halloween Horror Nights is a whole nother creation.
Yes.
So I worked Halloween Horror Nights in 2008, which was the Bloody Mary Reflections of Fear, and I was lucky enough to work in my favorite zone, which was the Scary Tales, the Asylum in Wonderland, and Fractured Tales. So I got to see the Tin Man and the Lion and the Red Riding Hood, which were my three absolute favorite costumes for that year. The Tin Man, just all the detail and work that went into that costume was phenomenal. And I felt so bad because he had to be in makeup for a long time to get that look.
Wow.
The Red Riding Hood was just such a unique spin on that character because she had like these tight leather pants and this big red cape and this little bustier and almost like visor goggles. And she would carry around her basket, which had the head of the wolf inside of it. And the lion as well was kind of like a Rocky Horror style lion, pretty much. So he had, again, like tight leather pants and like this huge headpiece. And they were just, and I know that you asked for one, but they were my three favorite costumes during that year.
Yeah, and those got resurrected in sorts last year in the little scare zone they brought back for Scary Tales, which was really cool to see. And I think the Tin Man was still pretty close to the original. The other ones have been changed up a little bit, but that Tin Man, I don't think you could beat it. So
yeah, he's amazing.
Definitely very, very cool.
Awesome. Yep. Michelle Fletcher asks, in general, was Universal Orlando Resort a good company to work for? It's a dream of mine to work for them in some capacity someday. I'm a travel agent now, so would love to work in the area of sales for them directly someday. But as we all know, the grass is always greener on the other side, so I'm just curious to know what it's like to really work for the company. Do they treat their employees well? Do they listen to their employees' ideas and suggestions? And do you have a favourite experience as an employee of UOR?
They do listen, by the way, Tiffany. I will put that out there.
Yes.
Well, I think they do.
So in all honesty, Universal was actually one of my favorite companies to work for.
Awesome.
They do believe in employee recognition. You have like your 1-year badge when you make it to that, and I believe there's a 3-year, a 5-year, and etc. They also host what are called the Woody Awards, and where employees are allowed to get together and kind of celebrate other employees that have gone above and beyond during the course of that year, or maybe employees that have been there for so long, like 20 plus years. So it's a very tight-knit group. And again, with any company, you do run into those walls of company policies that must be obeyed, and you'll have team members that might, be grumpy and might be having bad days. So you will always run into coworkers that you might not get along with, and you just have to find a way to work together. With that being said, because it is such a big company, and because so many people want to work for them, the pay is not good. When I first started, which was minimum wage, I was paid, I believe it was $6.25 an hour. Wow. And when I left, I was maybe making $8 an hour, and that was as a lead.
Wow.
So it might have changed. I think it might be up to $8.25 to start, but it's because there are so many people that want to work for them because of the perks. You get your tickets, you can get people in, you can go to all of these special events. Yeah. They know that they can pay the minimum amount, and people will still work for them. I know working in entertainment was fantastic. Entertainment, you actually get away with a lot more things because it is entertainment, and it's a whole separate beast. So in sales and travel, I am actually unsure as to how that management team may be. I believe they would be stricter on policies and procedures and that sort of thing. So I couldn't answer that portion of your question. But again, you have a lot of great perks with that company. Just be aware that the pay will not be equivalent to probably what you are making right now.
Yeah.
So all we all need to do is stop applying for about a year and see if they can up that pay a little bit. We'll do a little bit of reverse psychology to increase the demand. The next one comes from Matt Tucker, and he says, he asked if you could make any house, but we'll say if you could costume any house in the world without having to worry about rights at all, what would it be?
Now I had to think about this because Halloween Horror Nights is really good about keeping up with current events on scaring. So if there's a new scary movie out, they will more than likely get the rights to it and produce a house from it. So I had to think of one that they haven't done yet. And I have to say, I was pretty terrified from the Babadook movie. So I feel like they could do a lot with that. And they haven't had a chance to sort that one out yet.
That would be a very messed up atmospheric house for sure.
Right?
Yeah, Tracy's pulling faces. She didn't really enjoy it.
Thanks for that.
Well, you didn't.
Chuck me under the bus.
It was okay.
I was expecting this really, really, really scary film. Maybe I've just seen too many and nothing. I need a scary film. Nothing is scaring me.
That kid was crazy, man.
That's true. That was scarier because that was real, and we have one of those upstairs.
So this one's from Melanie Brookbank. I have to ask about this. What was the most interesting and or weird thing you had happen during Halloween Horror Nights? Whichever is the best story.
Well, there would always be some sort of weird things that would happen, but probably the weirdest thing that happened to me personally was during Halloween Horror Nights, you're zoned to a certain area. So mine was, the Fractured Tales, Asylum of Wonderland, that sort of area. And you're pretty much just sitting in the training room, and you're waiting for performers to bring back the costumes. So I believe it was halfway through the night, and all of a sudden, one of our performers comes in, and he's holding his mouth, and we're like, are you okay? He's like, no, I lost my tooth, and I need ice to put it in so I can head to the hospital with it. So we had to find a bag and get ice and put his tooth in ice so he can head to the hospital to figure out what's going on with his mouth, because I guess he scared a guest too bad, and you have the fight or the flight response.
Yeah.
And they had the fight response, and they accidentally punched him in the face and broke his tooth.
Wow.
Ow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So you have to be very careful when working Halloween Horror Nights just because of those reasons.
I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, to be honest.
Well, it's a reaction, isn't it? You do automatically just lash out. Wow.
Mm-hmm. some people, that's just how they react. If you scare them, they will punch you, and they don't mean it.
No.
It's just, it happens.
Did you ever work as a scare actor, Tiffany, or were you just costuming?
Oh no, I just costumed.
Right.
I never want. I don't do public very well. The guest experience, if you will. I would rather just be in the back and stay in my safe zone and just do what I need to do, and that be that.
Yeah, not get punched in the face. Yeah.
Exactly. I knew what would happen out there. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it.
That removed any doubts whatsoever of like, I wonder if I want to be a scare actor. That'll be a no.
Right, I've got one from Donna Pierce. Here's a question or two. What is your favourite memory of your time working on Halloween Horror Nights as an employee? And what's your favourite memory of Halloween Horror Nights even, if you went not as an employee?
So there's a couple of that. My two favorite things working Halloween Horror Nights is during the beginning, before Halloween Horror Nights even opens, you have to go to the costume warehouse, which is off property. And it's this huge warehouse that's just filled from top to bottom with costumes. And it's even a couple levels high. So you have to go over there and pull the costumes that you're going to need throughout the entire run of Halloween Horror Nights. And some of them are store-bought, some of them are made in-house, which means we have a team of seamstresses that will make costumes on the spot, and they send them to us for Halloween Horror Nights. And because they're fresh and new and clean, and Halloween is dirty and gross and grotesque, we have to what is called distress the costumes. So we have to make them look dirty. So we would be given bags of paint to add blood. We were allowed to throw the costumes in the dirt and mud. We would make dirt and mud outside and throw the costumes in that and roll them around and pretty much just make them as ugly as possible. I mean, we do clean them. Mud has a tendency to, if you let it sit, it will stain costumes. Yep. And then after you wash it, the dirty part comes off, but it still leaves that look of mud and dirt and grit on top of it. And then another favorite memory of mine was when we were starting to set up for Halloween Horror Nights. We were doing rehearsals with our teams, and we were at one of the main stages, I believe, near the Interstellar Terror and the Creature House. And they were working on the creature costumes for that particular house. And I saw them keep staring at these costumes. I'm like, what's going on? And I heard one of the guys say, they're too big. They're not going to be able to fit in the house.
Oh.
Which is... So all of that work, I believe they did start with 8 creature bug-like costumes, and none of them fit inside the house. I think they were able to only get one inside, which is why during that house that year, there was only the one alien throughout the entire house. There were supposed to be 8, but because they made them too big, they couldn't get them inside the house.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
The more you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next one and the last one actually comes from Holly Cotter. She's got a couple of questions here. She asks, what is your favorite ride at Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure?
So my favorite ride for Universal Studios is the Mummy ride. I love that ride. It's so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then at Islands of Adventure, I have to say I loved the Hulk. I would ride the Hulk all the time. And it was great because you would, if you did the early shift, you clocked out and then you could run over to Hulk before the park closed and ride it a couple times before you went back home. And now that Harry Potter's there, I really enjoy the Harry Potter ride. But at that point, only Hulk was available to me because I left as Harry Potter was just being built. So I never got a chance to experience it in that park.
Oh, okay.
Have you been since it opened, though, Tiffany? Yeah.
Yes, I have been.
So, and what is your favorite non-ride attraction at each park?
At Islands of Adventure, it would have to be Sinbad because, again, it's my baby. I worked that show, and it's one of my favorites. And then at Universal Studios, I Barney, it was just, I was very surprised that I liked that show so much, but I did. It was so adorable. But also the horror makeup show is an excellent show to see as well.
Definitely. We've got to go see Barney now.
Yeah. Tiffany, I have to say, I think you're the only person that we have ever spoken to that would ever say that Sinbad was one of the best non-ride attractions at
I've got
Islands
to
of
say
Adventure.
the costumes are amazing.
Well, again, because I worked it, so it has a little special place in my heart.
The costumes are great. You got to say that.
That's very true.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think that is about going to do it for the show.
No, it isn't. I've got another question.
Thank you so
I've
much.
got one as well.
I've got another question.
Oh, never mind. Got a late entry here.
Right, Tiffany, as we know, you and Stephen both worked at the park. And you both met each other at the park, and obviously now are husband and wife. How did that happen? Not the marriage, we know how that happened.
That happened quite by accident, actually, because when we worked together at Universal Studios, we were just friends. We were just coworkers at Fear Factor, because he was dating somebody at the time.
Oh,
so he was just a friend to me, just to hang out with every once in a while. And it wasn't until I moved out to Kentucky in 2009, and he had moved to Vegas. And I was out in Kentucky by myself. It was just me and my sister, and you keep up with your friends. So me and him started talking more, and I had found out that he had broken it off with the girl, and because he was moving out to Vegas, and didn't see the point in doing a long distance relationship. So we had just started talking and just got close, and he's like, "Oh, you should come out to Vegas sometime." And I was like, I don't have any desire to go to Vegas. He's like, "No, come out. I'll show you around." And I was like, "Okay," because I had moved from entertainment into security, which was an extremely bad decision on my part. Security was one of the worst jobs I have ever done.
Right.
And I wanted to get back into entertainment, and Las Vegas is an entertainment capital of the world, so they say. So I was like, okay, well, I want to get back into entertainment, but I didn't want to go back to Universal because the pay was so bad. So I went out and checked it out, and I actually really liked it out here, and talked with some of the show people, like Cirque and Larev and the like, and the pay is phenomenal for doing the same job that I was doing back in Florida.
okay.
So I decided that this is what I want to do. So the next year in 2010, I decided to pack up all my stuff, including one of my best friends who was living in Ohio at the time, and said, "Oh, come on, you want to go out to Vegas with me? Because I don't want to go out there by myself." And he's like, "Okay." So we traveled across the country and set up shop in Vegas, and we've been here ever since, and we're still best friends. And me and Steven started dating, and then we got married we got engaged the year after we started dating when I moved out in 2011, and then we got married in 2012.
Awesome.
It was kind of like a whirlwind trip.
Yeah. Oh,
Awesome.
that's lovely. Oh. Should have ended with that, not with my question.
Go on then.
I've got a bit of an interest in hauntings, shall we say. And it was quite a while ago for a Halloween show that I did
You did,
a
yes.
little piece, my words are failing me at the moment, on any potential hauntings in the parks. Did you have any spooky experiences backstage that couldn't be explained?
Actually, they would say that the Barney trailer was haunted. And also the EPC at Universal Studios was haunted. I never actually had a personal experience myself, but there were times whenever I was the opening lead for the EPC, and I would always be the first one there because I always like being early to my jobs. And I opened it up, and I don't know, there was a feeling of like something being there.
Yeah.
And so I would look around just to make sure that no one was there, and it was just me, but it's just that feeling of you were being watched, or that somebody was in the building. And it was quite terrifying, and it would happen every once in a while. Not every day, but you know, maybe a couple times out of the year. So you get a little nervous because you know you have the Scooby-Doo heads just kind of staring at you. And, you know, the bodies are hanging on the wall, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty creepy.
Yeah, you got everybody hanging on meat hooks in there staring.
Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's a little scary, and you know it could be one of the actors still stuck in one of the suits from the day before too. I feel like a presence. Yeah, it's me. I'm stuck in here.
The goat like pass.
Oh man, well, it's been so good to have you on, Tiffany. Thank you again for coming on.
That's been awesome.
No problem. Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
All right, so make sure to listen to the Extended Q podcast as well. And for Tiffany, Hunter, Tracy, and Lee, this is Darren, and this has been the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
That's it for another unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on iTunes, and while you're there, please leave us a rating and a review. Listen to us on Stitcher, Google Play, and all your podcast apps. Email us with any questions or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com, or even better, record your message at speakpipe.com/uuopodcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Check out our blog for even more content at uuopodcast.com. And finally, our sponsors, Fairy Godmother Travel, are here to help with all your Universal vacation needs. So check them out today at fairygodmothertravel.com. Well, that's a wrap. See you next week.